Hello and welcome to this festive version of the commentary box. You should be hearing some Christmassy music that is of course royalty free, but at the moment me and Jake are only hearing the sounds of our own voices. Sadly I have to edit it in. But yes, this is our Christmas Eve podcast, a Christmas special filled with Christmas joy. So of course you are joined by me and Jake. Jake, are you in the Christmas spirit yet? Bear in mind, we are recording this on Christmas Eve.
Yes, I'm definitely getting there. You know, after looking at some festive puns of some football players' names, that's really doing it for me.
Yes, good you mentioned that. So today, on today's podcast, we're going to be a bit more of a fun podcast, you could say, because we're going to have a Christmassy and non-Christmassy kind of football-themed quiz to start with, where I'm going to be asking Jake 5 questions, and Jake is going to be asking me 5 questions in a kind of little competition. And then we're going to be talking about the winter break. I mean, we've got to have a bit of a debate there. So of course, there is going to be a winter break in the coming seasons in the Premier League, so we'll be discussing that basically, and then we'll end with another kind of a bit of fun, and we'll be giving our Christmas footballer name 11, if that makes any sense. Christmas themed football 11, and you'll be able to vote on which team you think will beat the other one, basically on Twitter soon after this podcast comes out. So yes, stick on some Christmas music if you already haven't, and have a listen to this podcast really.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the quiz. Now, do you want to go first, Jake, or do you want me to ask a question first?
You can go first by asking me.
Okay, so this is one of my styles of question. Now, I'm going to read out basically a player's club history, and you got to name the player I am talking about. Okay, I'll give you a clue for this one. This one's a Christmassy themed player, so you might even have him in your Christmas 11. So this player's played for a lot of clubs, and he's a striker. I'll give you that. That's what I'm giving you. So he started his career at Olympia Ascensione, then he moved to Bayern Munich, then to the Premier League to Blackburn Rovers, where he then got a move to Manchester City. After that, he was on loan 3 times to Blackburn Rovers again, Real Betis in Spain, and Malaga, who he then moved to on a permanent deal, where he then went to Mexico to Cruz Azul, then went back to Malaga again on loan, and now it looks like he will end his career back at Olympia Ascensione.
Can I know the country that Olympia Ascensione is from?
They are from Paraguay.
Okay, and that is going to be one of the sole reasons why I choose who I'm going to say. Because when you were saying it, I was thinking, who on earth has played for Blackburn and Bayern Munich in their career? Because I was like, I've got no idea. But when you said the players and you said striker, I'm going to go, I think his name's something like Santa Cruz.
Yes, I'll give you that. It is Rocky Santa Cruz, who had a regrettable spell at Manchester City. But yes, he's fondly remembered, I think, by a lot of fans in the Premier League. So
Did it not quite work out at Bayern then?
Well, he did all right at Bayern. I didn't realise, but he played 155 games for them and 31 goals. I know, and I just remember him as a flop at Manchester City. Basically, I mean, he was good at Blackburn, but I still remarkable how many games he's played for Bayern Munich.
That's crazy.
I know. I mean, what can you say? He's done well for himself.
Very well.
So yeah, if you want to read out your question to me.
Sure thing. So my first one I've got here, the Christmas part is a slight bonus point,
Okay.
But my questions are more sort of like the most this and most that. So I'm going to start off, who is the oldest player to score in the Premier League, and then bonus little thing if you can guess how old and on what day.
Oh, that's a good question. The oldest player to score in the Premier League. So
Yep.
automatically I'm thinking about Ryan Giggs or Garth Barry. Now I'm going to rule out Garth Barry because I think he doesn't score many goals, and I can't remember the last time he scored. Obviously Ryan Giggs did play up to he was like 37 or so, but he seems like too obvious an answer. But I'm not being able to think of any other player that has been older than him, apart from.
Do you know the festive day he scored his last goal?
Was it on Boxing Day?
It was indeed. Do you know how old this player was?
38.
Actually, a little bit older. He was actually 40. And
40.
not only 40, but 268 days, which is,
Oh,
you're getting on 41.
yeah. I have no idea then who this is.
And I saw this, and I was like, wow. And it's actually Teddy Sheringham.
No way. Good point. I
Uh,
guess he did play that long, didn't he?
Yeah, and I didn't even realise. I had no, I'd like, if I was thinking about this myself, I definitely would have gone along the sort of the Ryan Giggs route.
Yeah.
And I probably would have just guessed him. But yeah, I'm as shocked as you, Sam.
I mean, he's just kind of that beyond when I remember footballers playing, like
Mm.
just on the cusp of me remembering him almost. So I'll give you that one. I had no idea about him being the oldest Premier League scorer. Okay, my question to you is another Christmassy question. So I'm going to name you a club, and I want you to name me which country they are from. Now, this club is called Santa Claus FC.
Are you joking?
No, oh, sorry, FC Santa Claus.
FC Santa. Okay, well that's making me think. FC. I'm thinking maybe sort of something like some sort of Spanish or that sort of side. If I didn't know that, I would have gone down like the more like something like Norwegian
Ooh.
leagues or something. And by your reaction there, I feel like I might be a bit more on target there.
Yeah, I'll give you a clue. It's in the northern hemisphere.
Okay, so I'm gonna look
Or
at
north, to say.
I'm gonna look at my Scandinavian countries, but I'm gonna rule out Denmark.
Okay.
So I'm either down to Norway, Sweden, or Finland. I'm gonna say no to Sweden. So I'm gonna go with Finland. That's my final answer.
You would be correct. They are in the Finnish
Get
leagues,
in.
and they do actually have a picture of Santa on their club badge.
This just makes it even better, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think they're based in like the Lapland area of Finland, so well done on the branding front.
Yeah. Okay. So my next one, these are all Premier League like, all-time records.
Okay.
And this one is what team got the most defeats in the Premier League season? And out of those 42 games, just have a guess, how many defeats do you think this team got?
Well, I think I know which team you're on about, and that team is, I think, Derby County. Am I right?
So you're wrong.
Oh.
And once again, I saw this and I thought Derby,
Yeah.
and it wasn't. So Derby must have got a few more draws or wins or something.
Yeah.
But so this team actually got 29 defeats out of 42.
Is it Charlton?
It's not. It's actually Ipswich.
Oh, I would never have got that because they've been in
Neither.
the Championship so long.
I know. I feel like I'm giving you too many hard questions here at the moment.
Don't worry.
So think about that. That's 13 games they didn't lose in, and I'm gonna guess they didn't win that many.
Nah.
Or at least maybe to be fair, maybe they lost all those, but all the other games maybe they won. I don't know.
Just didn't draw. Maybe they just kind of didn't like drawing.
Mm.
That's a good question, that. Because my automatic reaction was Derby, because I think they only got like 9 points. So
Yeah.
I guess they must have drawn a lot of games, Derby, then in the end.
Guess so.
Yeah. Right then, on to one of my questions. So this is a bit kind of Christmassy. So I'm going to ask you about last season, and I want you to tell me which team was in first position at Christmas last year. And bonus point if you could tell me what points they were on.
Okay, so last year, let me think. Chelsea. Wait, no. City did win the league last year, didn't they?
Yep, they did.
Okay, just to clarify. I'm not sure. Well, I know Chelsea. Obviously, Manchester United were not there. I think Liverpool would have been up there. Tottenham would have been as well. Arsenal didn't do that great. Chelsea, I don't think they had a good year because that was Conte and they definitely weren't top. So I'm between Tottenham and Liverpool. I feel like if Tottenham were out of the league at Christmas, people will be talking about Tottenham chance to win the league a lot more and I would have remembered it. So I'm going to go with Liverpool. And for points-wise, genuinely, I don't even know what points the top teams in the Premier League right now, but I'm going to say 43.
You are incorrect. It was Manchester City with 52 points.
Ah, so it was City.
Yeah, it was
So
City.
I didn't know because I knew City when they were at the top. They were there for a very long time, but I can't remember whether that was sort of early January where they start to just almost kick it in for the rest of the season.
Yeah, oddly enough, Liverpool and Tottenham were all the way down in 4th and 7th respectively.
Wow.
Yeah, I think basically City steamrolled the beginning of last season, but yeah, Manchester United was second as well.
Well, a bit far off on that one.
But yeah.
So yeah, I'll give you my third question so far. So now I've got which player in the Premier League has got the most yellow cards, and if you can tell me the amount, bonus there as well.
All right, so I've already mentioned his name before. I think Gareth Barry could be the answer, but I'm gonna go through some other players that I think it could be. Lee Cattermole, he's always been a player that stuck out to me as a dirty player. But of course, he hasn't been in the Premier League the last few seasons because, of course, Sunderland being relegated. Apart from that, I would only have to go with Gareth Barry, I think, because he's always one of those players that will make that little nig at the player to kind of try and stop him from getting past him, just kind of make sacrifices to the team. So my answer would be Gareth Barry.
You are correct in saying that. How many yellow cards do you think he got?
So he's probably got around 500 appearances. Probably gets around a yellow card every 3 or so matches. So I'm going to go with 223.
It's actually 123.
Oh, 100
so
off.
Yeah, because it's very far off, but it's not that far off at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, nonetheless, quick question, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. Good question. So on to my fourth question to you. Very similar to the last question, but I want you to name me the team that was in last position at this time at Christmas time, last year.
Okay, so let me think about who went down. Stoke, West Brom. Wasn't Villa? That was a couple of seasons before. Stoke, Villa, and no, it wasn't. Sorry. Stoke, West Brom, and
Swansea.
Ah, yes, Swansea.
Yeah.
So do I go with the Swansea? I don't think Stoke were in the relegation zone until a little bit later, and they started to slip in. I know West Brom had a very poor season. I'm pretty sure they finished bottom in the end. I want to say West Brom because I think Swansea was sort of hovering a bit and then dipped in sort of January, and West Brom dipped in a little bit after that and ended up being bottom.
Well, sadly for me more than anything, Swansea were actually last at Christmas last season with 12 points, 2 points off West Brom in 19th, and then I think 4 points off Stoke, who were actually in 17th at the time. So I can't remember it being that bad at Christmas last year. I thought we were kind of hovering above the relegation zone at that point.
Yeah.
But we must have dropped below West Brom at that point. So, but that's all behind us now. But yeah.
Yeah. You didn't finish bottom though, did you?
No, I think we finished either third from bottom or second from bottom, because I think in the last few games, I think we could have stayed up if we had beaten Southampton. We lost 1-0 to a Gabbiadini goal.
Oh, yeah.
And then we still had a chance of staying up, but Huddersfield managed to beat, I think, Chelsea away 1-0 or something.
Wow.
And that relegated us, and then we lost to Stoke on the last game of the season. So I assume we were second from bottom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Well, so on to my fourth one. Can you name the game? Well, I would say, what do you think the highest ever Premier League attendance was? And then bonus point if you can name the stadium and then the two teams that are playing.
Ooh, that's a good question. So, obviously, Tottenham are playing at Wembley at the moment, and that's got a capacity of 90,000, which I can see them fill for derbies like Arsenal, but I don't remember anything in the news recently about them breaking the attendance. Apart from that, I think United have one of the biggest stadiums. Obviously, Newcastle, Liverpool, City. I'm gonna say it's Tottenham. Still, I
Sure.
think maybe last season they might have broken it when they were at Wembley. And I'm gonna say roughly around 79,000.
Okay. So you are right in saying Wembley. You are
Okay.
right in saying Tottenham was against Arsenal,
Yep.
and it was 83,222.
Whoa, it's close. It's close.
Yeah, quite close. So not quite a full capacity.
Nah.
But no, a very very good attendance there. I feel as if Tottenham, with that chance to sort of go to Wembley and start bringing in fans, I think it was a great opportunity for them to sort of almost boost their fan base in a way, because they can fill more fans in, entice more, and we might start seeing some of the new White Hart Lane next year.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really excited to see the new kind of stadium because it looks amazing from like the pictures. Apparently,
Yeah.
there's supposed to be like a bar or like the longest bar, continuous bar in like Europe, I think, or in the world. And they're like supposed to make their own bread there, their own brewing there. Like could have NFL matches there. So it looks really exciting.
Yeah, it looks very good.
Anyways, on to the last question for me to you, and it's a bit like our first question, and again, it is a Christmassy themed player who has found their way into my 11. So this player started their career at Tottenham Hotspurs, and then they had 4 loan spells with 4 different clubs, and those clubs were Leyton Orient, Derby County, QPR, and then Swansea City. And then after his last loan spell at Swansea City, he ended up moving to Swansea City on a permanent deal. And this player is a midfielder.
Okay, and is he still at Swansea?
And he is still at Swansea. Yes.
Still at Swansea.
One of the players that didn't leave as we went down.
I'm trying to think of Swansea midfielders with Christmassy names. Because players that come to mind, I know Leon Britton doesn't.
Yeah.
Or he doesn't
Nah.
play anymore. I don't think.
Nah, he's retired
But
now.
he definitely. But I'm thinking who got loaned and then stayed. Midfielders. Are we like? I don't want to sort of. Is it a central midfielder, or are we talking more of a winger?
We're talking more of a central midfielder, almost like a Harry Winks who never quite made it in the Tottenham squad fully, but like was thereabouts and like for a few seasons.
Okay.
England
I
under
know.
21 as well at one point.
England under 21s at one point. Young player
Yeah,
has
still
the same
reasonably young.
has the same surname as the West Ham beast of a striker, Andy Carroll.
Yes, yep.
First name Tom.
Yep.
Tom Carroll.
Yes, it's Tom Carroll. I'm glad he got that one, actually. That was a pretty tough one, to be honest.
I think the Tottenham bit threw me away at first because I was thinking, who started at Tottenham and then went to Swansea in the end? And then as soon as you mentioned the Harry Winks type player, then I was like, bang.
Yeah, that kind of gave it away in the end, I think.
Yeah.
Right then. If you want to give out your last question.
Sure. So my last one is, what player has the most Premier League appearances? And because that is sort of slightly obvious, that's sort of the half point. And then if
Okay.
you can name the 4 teams he played for, then you get the full point.
Okay, so it's Garth Barry, is it not?
It is indeed. If you name the number of appearances, that's just sort of a bonus bit. But the teams is the other point.
Okay, I'll give you
The
the
other
bonus
half.
bit while I'm thinking about what teams he's played for. And I think the bonus,
Sure.
I think maybe 527.
653.
Wow,
It's
it's a lot of games.
It's a lot of games, especially playing in the Premier League at a very high standard.
Yeah, so I've got Aston Villa.
Yep.
I have Manchester City.
Yep.
I have, of course, West Brom.
Yep.
Now there's one other. I mean,
There is indeed.
so it's not Leeds because I know that was Milner. Did he make a not Stoke?
I'll give you a clue.
Okay.
So he went from City to this club?
Oh, Everton. Everton.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you. Pretty pleased with that, actually.
Yeah, that was good in the end. So, of your 5 questions, 3 of it's getting right. Well done.
Same with you. You got 3 questions out of 3, so we can share the
Happy
festivity
days.
as such.
Share the victory between us.
Yes, that's in the Christmas spirit, isn't it?
Of course.
And well done if you were playing along at home, as they say on like the TV. So well done if you got any of those right. Anyways, on to a bit of a debate now. I hope you enjoyed our little quiz. But now we're going to go on to the kind of the nation's favourite topic when it comes to football and Christmas, and that is the winter break. So, of course, you probably heard the news around 6 months ago about the Premier League introducing a winter break from February 2020. Me and Jake were just looking at how this basically would work, and we've both concluded kind of that it would only be 1 weekend off in mid-February. And I just want to know, Jake, do you think that's long enough, or do you think they've kind of made a mockery of what a winter break is supposed to do?
Well, when I first thought about winter breaks in football, everyone does the classic example of Germany's got winter breaks, look at their national team. I honestly thought that a winter break was literally basically over Christmas time or very early January anyway, and it'd be 2 weeks off, and I thought it was time where players get to train with the national team a bit for at least a week, and then they come back and then sort of may play a game or two, things like that in between, ready for starting back up the season again. But obviously news and the information of it slightly becomes a bit more apparent, and it just seems like he says a weekend off. I feel as if it's almost not enough. It's like having an international break, but players don't get to train with a national team. And it just seems a little bit weird now, to be honest. I was always a lot in favour for it, and I thought it was a great idea, and I thought 100% let's get this sort of thing done in football. But now looking at it, it does seem a little bit, I don't want to say not good enough, but as in it could be better. It's almost like when VAR came out. At first, everyone thought, oh, this is a great idea, when they didn't really know too much about it. Then we saw it done in the Cup, and we saw the amount of mistakes that were made and things like that. And it took a lot of time to redevelop it until Premier League teams decided, we do want this in our league next year. So it's definitely been. I think the idea and how they're going to test it is still in transition. Obviously, we know it could be coming out in the 2019 season. I feel like it'd be a good thing, but I feel like they may not get it right straight away. Can you see what I mean with the sort of the VAR comparison? It seems like a great idea, but unless you can get it right, it may not be as effective as it could be.
Yeah, I definitely kind of see that comparison. Like, they're kind of just trying out what works, because obviously I think what they will do is they'll kind of gain feedback from like clubs and players and like fans about this break and see if it kind of works for them. Because obviously if we just like throw in kind of a winter break like they do in Europe automatically, where you don't play over Christmas or you don't play the whole of January, it could really just mess up maybe like the good stuff we've got at Christmas, where there's lots of football on and people love to enjoy the kind of the festivity and the football at Christmas, especially on like Boxing Day and New Year. So I think they're just kind of testing it out to see what works best, because in Germany, of course, they have like a winter break that stretches like the whole of January, and the players are allowed to, I guess, have a holiday for 2 weeks, and then instead of just kind of going straight back into the games, they have like almost like a mini pre-season where they have a few friendlies and then they go in. Whereas with this, as you said, like there's no time to like go with the national team. There's probably barely any time to go on holiday, because you basically like maybe have a week off and then you're back onto the training pitch again. So I think it's a bit kind of disappointing to see how they've done it. But as you said, this could just be a VAR situation where they're trying to get feedback on what works best.
And you can see the advantages there would be if they do it right. For example, and he mentioned it about like sort of players resting, being more ready in the summer. When it comes to those big tournaments, they're going to be a bit sharper, not so fatigued. I think definitely players, sort of the older players, I know the England squad's quite young, but within that squad, they will certainly benefit from that. And I think even the likes sort of Harry Kane, we definitely saw it sort of in the latter stages of the World Cup this year and the Euro 2 years ago, where Kane just seemed quite fatigued and very tired. And obviously, as the big man and sort of the main target when it comes to scoring goals in the England side, we want our players to be as sharp as possible. So I think it definitely will benefit players and do a good job. But like you said, it's just going to be a little bit of testing out and seeing how it works and the best way to sort of make it effective.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and also just a little kind of debatey question to ask you. Do you think that if they were to change this winter break and if it wasn't to work, do you think having no football over the Christmas period would be a benefit or a negative? Because me personally, I think part of the good thing about Premier League football is that the kind of festive period, there's lots of games on, so you stay interested over that time. And I think I've heard stories about on other on the continent, the European football podcast, they were saying that in Italy, because there's no little Italian football on, which I think they're changing over the next few years, lots of Italian football fans just watch Premier League football because it's on at Christmas, and it kind of boosts the brand elsewhere because we don't stop, it's always on. So I just want to know your opinions as a fan and maybe as a football club's perspective. I know you can't give that because you're obviously not a Premier League manager or player, but I just want to know your opinions on that from that kind of angle.
Yeah, I see what you mean there. It's sort of like when we talk about the most sort of the hardest league in the world and things like that, and we talk about it's continuous, it keeps on going, and you get pushed to your limits. You've got Carabao Cup, FA Cup, and you've got Champions League, and then you've got league games, and especially over Christmas they crunch them all together. And I see that sort of, and obviously if you talk about, I didn't even really realise that about Italian football, but I guess that sort of, like you said, sort of talks about the brand of English football and gives us that style. And would we lose that sort of tradition? I can see what you mean. I feel like if it's done well, and obviously that's with everything, if something's done well, then it will be fine. But if they manage it well and they find the right amount of time, I don't think it will affect it. I just feel they've got to get it right, because they've got to look at the overall, they've got to look at what is their goal. So it'd be the FA deciding this. What is the Football Association's goal? Are we looking to benefit players in terms of international tournaments later in the summer? And then I would say, do we want players to spend more time with each other? Because I heard that England players, spend the least amount of time together, training, things like that. So are we going to be focusing on, let's have a week or two off and players can be with each other and they can train a bit, obviously lightly, not too heavy, and then they go back to their clubs for the last week? Or are we just saying, we just want players to rest, so we're going to have almost a complete break? Some players might go away with their family, things like that. I think it's going to be a trial and error thing, but sort of to conclude back to your question, and I know it's sort of an answer which it doesn't really you can apply to anything, but
yeah,
if they do it right, it'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. And I think just to kind of summarise it generally, I think we're both saying that it's a test kind of trial run. If it works during February, we'll probably continue during February. If it doesn't work, we'll try other things. And ultimately, there's a few different goals, and if most of them can be met, it'd be good. And it'd be amazing to hear your opinions on that matter as well. If you think that the winter break in the future is going to be good enough or not, and you can do that via our Twitter, which is at Box Commentary, or even leave a comment down on YouTube. So yeah, that kind of brings us to an end to our kind of winter and festive debate on the winter break, and brings us on to our last section, which of course, as mentioned, is a Christmas themed 11 match between me and Jake. So both me and Jake have prepared our Christmas themed 11 full of basically footballers with Christmassy names, or names that we've kind of made Christmassy. Once this podcast has come out, as I've mentioned, you'll be able to vote on our Twitter, which of course is at Box Commentary, to see who would you think would win in a match if these teams were to play. So let's start with our goalkeepers. Now, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. So this player, I didn't even think. I thought about obviously my own club at first, and I couldn't really think of any names at first. And then Sam did mention before we went on it, he was like, "Oh, have you included any Gillingham players in your squad?" And I was like, No, I haven't actually. And then I remembered the goalkeeper, the first name that really should come to your mind, which is actually Thomas Holy. Obviously, Holy, sort of halo, Holy Christ, that sort of angle we're taking on Christmas. Chechen League One goalkeeper, 6'9", refusing to sign a contract at the moment. If you didn't know, Sam, him and Tommy is our two best players, our striker and our goalkeeper are both saying no, we do not want to sign new contracts.
Oh, I mean, that's not the greatest of Christmas gifts, is it?
Exactly. I was hoping for a little bit more, maybe just at least a 1 year, just so we could make a bit of money out of them in the summer. But yeah, they are seem to be gone. But yeah, Thomas Holy is my number one.
Okay, so my number one is a fairly obvious one, really. He's West Ham goalkeeper, not really playing a lot at the moment as Fabianski, ex-Swansea keeper, is keeping him out of the sticks, and that is Darren Rudolph.
Is he still at West Ham or has he moved on?
He might have moved on now, actually. Let's have a look, because I can't remember.
Have a little look online. While you're doing that, I'll just say that I've just done a tweet at BotScreen, and I've just said, what do we think of a Premier League winter break, which is going to be happening in 2019? I've got two options of good or bad idea. So I'll reveal the results of that at the end of the show.
Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry. Carry on. Sorry.
Sorry. I was going to say, going on to my next choice. So just for formation-wise, obviously tactics were made in this. I'm going for a 4-3-3 formation. I'm normally quite a defensive or not so a three up front type of player, but I thought I'd manage my team effectively using their abilities. I'm going to say, I'll say two of my defenders. So at right back, we've got obviously ex-Swansea now. Is he at West Ham? I'm thinking. Who do you think I've got at right back?
Well, I think you've got the same player as I have, and he's currently plying his trade at QPR. And back to the Darren Randolph thing quickly. He is actually at Middlesbrough, and that's a transfer that has gone completely unknown to me at all. Actually, I didn't realise. But yeah, Angel Rangel, who's currently playing for QPR.
Yes, so we have the same player there. And then one of my centre-backs, which I know you mentioned, we might have a couple of the same players in the squad here. I've gone for the Eric Dyer, so Eric Reindeer, sort of spin-off pun on that. What about you, Sam?
Well, at the back, I'm playing. I'm automatically I'm playing a 3-4-3. I'm going pretty Italian with three at the back. But this is not like a proper defensive Italian side. This is an odd Italian side where we're going actually full out attacking. Even some of my midfielders, they could be fairly attacking players. So expect there to be goals conceded, but there'll be goals scored as well. So I'm trying to outscore the other team, which everyone wants to see at this festive time of the year. We don't see defensive football, but yeah. At the back, I'll name my three at the back. I've got Angel Rangel. Also, I have Eric Reindeer Dyer, and then I have Christian Fuchs from Leicester, of course.
So I saw a couple of these players online, but I thought I'm actually gonna make my players. I'm gonna choose some upmarket. I'm gonna splash the cash. So I went with obviously Liverpool's centre back, which actually just a little question here. I've gone for Virgil van Dijk or Virgin van Dijk, sort of Virgin Mary. Do you think Virgil van Dijk is the best centre back in the world right now? Sam Turner, yes.
Wow, no? That's quite the question. I mean, I feel like this is a question for like a Christmas afternoon where I've had maybe a few Baileys or something, but I think he is. Now, I feel like I'm going to get some slate here, but like when I've watched him on the TV, he has been absolutely outstanding, not only in his tackling and his kind of bravery, but also in his kind of leadership, and not necessarily like captaincy leadership, but his leadership in defence. Like I think I watched the Napoli game, or one of the Napoli games where they got through obviously and they're 1-0. And he played an absolute blinder. Robertson on the other side, on his side in the defence, was playing misplacing a few balls, and he went up to him obviously, and he just told him to kind of get his stuff together. and he ended up playing. Robertson played really well in the end, and it's just things like that you see him do a lot. He'll talk to players. He'll if you need to shout, he'll shout, and I think they've really found like one of the best defenders in the world, and of course he's scoring for the Netherlands side at the moment. So I think I'm fairly safe in saying he's the best defender at the moment.
Interesting point. I'm gonna do a tweet on that because I think that's such a bold statement. I personally don't think so at the moment. I think he's still got a bit to prove. You know, it's only his first season still at Liverpool. Is it, or did he come in the end of last season?
I think he came January last season because, of course,
January last season.
So with Southampton.
First full season having. I know he's done well since they've come in, but I just want to see the season out and see how well he does. And is he going to continue his consistency in form?
Okay.
But to name my left back, and actually my favourite sort of spin-off pun is actually Slayton Baines. So Leighton Baines. That's my favourite one so far.
Good. I like that one.
Gone for a classic left back. I'll let you name your. Should we say you name two of your four midfielders?
Yes, I will. I'll go with my central midfielders to start with. So in the midfield, I've got one of my personal kind of favourite players, actually, or most underrated players, and I've got Fabian Elf. And then
see.
Oh, carry
sorry.
on.
That player has actually also agreed terms at my club, and Fabian Elf has also signed a contract, so we need to have words with him there.
Oh, he's been meddling there a bit. I think I might have to cancel his contract. But then again, we have Tom Carroll beside him, a Swansea player, and I can't miss out a Carroll there, so he'll be singing along in the midfield there.
Okay, and then on mine, I'll give you all my three. Because I've already told you one of them. So I've actually gone for Santi or Santa Cazorla. Who is he still playing in Spain? And if so, do you know who? And also, I'm going to guess he's playing for Valencia.
Well,
I don't know.
He is still playing. Of course, he had that horrific injury, which I'm not sure quite what happened, but I think got to a stage where they were almost thinking like he wasn't going to play again, and they might even have to amputate his like lower leg or his like foot, I think. But yes, he has made a remarkable recovery. I mean, I don't know if you saw, but when he was announced for the team he's signing for, which I'll tell you in a bit, they kind of like got him in like this like pod and filled it with smoke, and then he like appeared out of nowhere. But yeah, the team, you were so close. It does start with a V, and it is in Spain, but the club is Villarreal rather than Valencia.
See, I was thinking, is it Sevilla? And I was like, no, I think it begins with a V. What is sort of like Sevilla, and then Valencia came to mind, but I was unsure, but close
enough there.
And then for my last player, again, another angel, which is Angel Di Maria.
Oh, good choice.
So he's going to give a bit of threat from that left hand side, Cazorla being on the right and Delph being that Yorkshireman in the middle of the park.
Yeah, exactly. Well, then you've already mentioned one of my wingers, Santi Cazorla. It's got to make it into the squad with Santa, of course. But then I've gone for a bit of an odd player here. Like, obviously he does have a Christmassy name, but he's gone off the scene of recent times, and he's only just come back. And this player is Ryan Babel. Or Babel. Of course, the Dutch winger who used to play for Liverpool. He's made a recent resurgence in Turkey, and is obviously actually, I think, playing now for the Netherlands side again and doing well. So I thought I'd just throw him in there as a little bit of a surprise package. Get it? Package? Present? Matt? I didn't even realise I did that.
I think that is actually quite a good little player, actually. And you are right, he has gone a little bit off the radar, so to speak, recently. A good little player there. Mm-hmm. So I'll let you know my last three, which you need to be very worried about with your shaky defence.
Oh, yes.
So I'm having right down the middle.
Yep.
It's the big Andy Carroll, who's going to be heading in crosses from all over the park, doing that amazing bicycle kick, which he did against Crystal Palace, I think he did, back when he was sort of playing regularly for the Hammers. And next to him, I've got Gabriel Jesus, so Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
from Manchester City. I'm probably going to have him on the right-hand side, and on the left-hand side, I've got Nicholas or Saint Nicholas Bentner. He's going to be on the left. I wrote on my notes here, because I wrote the club they played for. I wrote in brackets, no idea, because I have I presume he's gone back to some Danish team, but I genuinely do not know.
Well, I think he's actually in prison at the moment. Not, I think.
What?
Yeah, not for anything like super seriously bad. I think he only got into like a little fight with a taxi driver, I think, and I think he's only in for like a month or so. But
wow,
yeah, it's a bit of a crazy situation that. But yeah, he is still playing. I think, and obviously, I think he'll play after his sentence. But I think he plays for Mulde. I think the team that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer obviously managed. Or it might be even Rosenborg, I think a Norwegian team. So yeah, of course he missed out on the World Cup as well, didn't he? Because he got injured, which was a shame for Denmark and himself, Lord Bentner. But yeah, he's currently in prison at the moment. But that strike force, all the same. It's a bit scary considering you've got two big tall men. When I've got, I think Eric Dyer is under 6 foot, Anger Rangel is probably under 6 foot, and I think Christian Fuchs is under 6 foot. So
we all know who's winning this, then.
yeah, and I don't even know if I think Randolph is under 6 foot as well. So I know he's 6'2", so that's all right. Well, so I've got Andy Carroll on my side, and you said
of course,
yeah, you're gonna play him down the middle. Well, I'm not gonna play Carroll down the middle, and that's a bit surprising, but I'm going to play him on the right hand side of my strike force. Now I'm going to target your fullbacks, or your lack thereof, and I'm going to make sure he gets the knockdowns from the side for Kingsley Coman of Bayern Munich.
Oh, good player.
Is he? I think he's Bayern Munich at the moment, isn't he? Yes.
He is, yeah.
And he's going to go straight down the middle and use some pace to get through your three-man defence. But then on the other side, I'm going to have Rocky Santa Cruz, who of course has already been mentioned before as well, earlier on in the podcast, and he's going to be there just because he's got a great name. I mean, I think he's probably 36 now or 37, and I'm not sure if he's still got it, but he'll be there for moral support more than anything.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Well, if we are going by your statement of saying that Virgil van Dijk is the best centre-back in the world, I think Kingsley Coman is going to struggle a lot. Personally.
Yeah, and I think Rocky Santa Cruz might struggle a lot when he comes up against Virgil van Dijk there.
True. Just to sort of almost conclude on that and go back to your big statement and the poll. So it's only been literally about 5 minutes since I've done these polls, but we've had 2 votes in both of them. So someone out there, Sam, I don't know who agrees with you that Virgil van Dijk is the best centre-back in the world.
I mean, I can vote quickly now and change it.
So one person's agreeing with you, one person isn't, and then likewise on when I said, what do we think of a winter Premier League break, which will be happening in the 2019 to 2020 season, and it's 1 vote apiece on good and bad idea. And then just to go back to the recent tweet we did, I did one a day ago, and I said after that 5-1 win for Manchester United, could form continue and end with a top 4 finish? And me and Sam actually spoke a little bit of this before we were on air to sort of record. It ended up being a 68% yes, saying that they could finish in the top 4. And personally, I thought it was a big statement. Sam, I know you talked about you can definitely see them putting pressure, and I can't deny that. But can I see them realistically finishing in the top 4, which means that out of City, Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, Liverpool, 2 of those teams have got to slip up to go below Manchester United? Personally, I do not think so. Sam, you thought you can definitely see them putting pressure, but the people have spoken. The people have said yes, they will.
Yes.
We will see at the end of the season. 25 votes on that, which is very good. So thank you to all those who voted.
Yeah, exactly, and only time will tell ultimately. But yeah, that kind of brings our Christmas special to an end. Sadly, I've actually really enjoyed all the quizzes and all the fun today, and I hope you have as well. And if you want to even do a Christmas themed 11, go for it and tweet us, and maybe we'll see if it will be any of our sides. But at the moment, it seems like before the polls even started, that mine has lost. But you never know. You never know. It's Christmas. Crazy results happen, as we've seen already. This weekend, of course, as Leicester beat Chelsea, and the more surprising result, Crystal Palace beating Manchester City. So I wouldn't rule anything out. But yes, Jake, it's been wonderful as always. I hope you enjoy your Christmas, and I hope all the listeners do as well. But yeah, it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me as well. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.